What's wrong with me?
It's nerves, and that's all. I got on the bed. The whole bed was thumping and rising off the floor and shaking.
Mrs. McNeil, the problem with your daughter is not her bed. It's her brain.
It looks like the type of disorder that's rarely ever seen anymore, except in primitive culture.
You're gonna die up there.
Of course, there is one outside chance for a cure. Have you ever heard of exorcism?
I thought you were supposed to be an expert.
There are no experts.
How about Lancaster Merritt? He's had experience.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
Do something, Doctor, please help her.
Keep away! The flower's mine.
So far, I'd say there seem to be 3 different personalities Reagan has manifested. She's convinced that
There's only one.
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
Speaking to the person inside of Reagan now. Come forward.
Your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
Be unto her, O Lord, a fortified tower.
In the face of the enemy.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Hello there, and welcome back to the MidNight video podcast. My name is Ben Haywood, as always, and in today's episode we are going to be reviewing 2 films in this episode, which will be The Exorcist 1973 and The Love Witch 2016. So if you haven't already, sit back, relax and enjoy, and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified for any of my future content. So yeah, it's been a while since I did a last video, and bear with me, I'm going to try and get back into the swing of things with doing these reviews and recording the audio. Like some of the stuff I've forgotten to do and I have to get my head around it back then. And if you haven't noticed, you might hear some fireworks in the background because it is bonfire weekend. It's not bonfire night, but it is the weekend where we've got the fireworks around. So, and where I record isn't really the best place to record, but it's where I get my privacy anyway. But yeah, if that bothers you, I apologise for that. Right, let's get into the review of The Exorcist. So, got Linda Blair starring in the lead role as Reagan McNeil, Ellen Burstyn as Chris McNeil, who's Reagan's mother, and Jason Miller as Damien Karras, who's one of them. I don't know if he'd be a priest or a vicar. There's a difference to all of that. I should know because I'm a Christian, but yeah. And we've got Max von Sydow as Lancaster Merritt, who I think is the lead priest / exorcist with The Exorcist. So yeah, that's the main 4 people in the cast. I'm not going to name every single person in the cast because I don't see the point in it. So yeah, The Exorcist, watched it a few weeks ago now, quite a few times actually. Firstly I bought it on my Fire Stick, which I do watch a lot of movies on because I'm always on that really. It's my main platform for movies really. Also went to watch it at the cinema, brought out in the cinema lectures near me, which was a good experience. Only $4.99 as well, which is good pricing. And also watched the director's cut version. It's got some fancy name, but decent. But I think I prefer the original cut. But yeah, first time I've watched it. Really good film. Been in the mood for these creepy horror films. Like, to be fair, I wouldn't say I was like the biggest horror fan before this, but I kind of become more of a horror fan, mainly because I feel like you get quite a lot of bad horror films, especially these days as well. But I feel like it is improving a lot. Like, you got films like The Lighthouse, The Love Witch, which is a brilliant film that's got right up there in the list of horrors and favourite films of all time, that was the first time I watched that as well. And a lot of A24 stuff is bringing horror back to its full glory, really, or close. Like, I feel like the best era of horror is probably around the 70s, 80s type of thing, but I feel like there's a lot of horror that I don't really like. It's just not really my type of genre. Like, I feel like I'm more of a dark comedy type of guy, which isn't too far off horror. Like, you got The Love Witch and all that, which I class as a dark comedy. American Psycho, and of course it's not a dark comedy, but 28 Days Later, which I'd class as a horror as well, which I'd say is probably my favourite horror of all time, really, and by the great Danny Boyle, who was brought up not too far from me, I must say. So yeah, I feel like horror's grown on me. I think just before getting to review, I might talk a bit more about horror. Like I said, horror's not really been my type of genre, mainly because there's not been that good ones or ones that didn't appeal to me personally. Like things like Halloween, a lot of people like that, but I feel like not for me. Found it a bit boring personally. If anyone's watching, there's probably going to be a lot of unlikes and a lot of hateful comments for that opinion. Well, yeah, that's just my opinion. It's not really for me. But yeah, I feel horror's not really about jump scares, and you got like the paranormal activities and all that. Although them films, I've not watched them for a while, but they're quite decent, I guess. Not my go-to film though, really. But I feel like horror, it's more about the jump scares. It's more about the creepiness, the uncanny valley, the uncanniness to it is what I like, and I like a lot of weirdness to it. Like, I appreciate the weird tones, and I feel that's what I like about what I'd go for about horror. Like I mentioned, I go for a dark comedy, really, like something weird, and I guess that's not too far off a horror. But yeah, I guess these are what these two films appeal to me, like, because kind of The Exorcist isn't really a dark comedy, although the exorcism scenes are funny, where let's call him Captain Howdy, because he doesn't have a name really, the demon in this, where he goes, "You goddamn motherfucker, you motherfucking cocksucker," like, just things like that. I wasn't really scared, like, I was pretty much laughing through the whole thing. So that's another comment that thing, like, there's people saying that The Exorcist is probably is the scariest horror film out there, but I found it funny more than anything. Well, the exorcism scenes, like, when I first watched it, and I fell in love with it instantly. I feel like Linda Blair gives a fantastic performance in this film. I think what makes this film what it is, really, with her performance. As she's possessed as well, and I like how she's she's like, before she's possessed, she's like the sweetest girl you'd probably see. Got a nice face and everything. Just a lovely girl. And all of a sudden she messes about with shit that you should not be messing with, and I'm just going to put it like that. And guess that's where it all went wrong in this story. And yeah, really enjoyed this film. Very decent. Some other great performance like Jason Miller, good performance, good acting. Max von Sydow, which I just, someone mentioned that he's younger in that when he did that, but he had some prosthetics and makeup and stuff, and it made him look older, and I feel like it's good makeup effects, which I've got to give them credit for. And you got Mercedes McCambridge, who is the voice of Captain Howdy, and yeah, she's got that distinctive voice. Like, after I watched this film, I watched a ton of documentaries on the making of this film, and apparently it's all cursed and stuff. And she's got that unique, distinctive voice compared to the director, who I forgot to mention his name, which is directed by. Let me get it up. Bear with me if I can find it. Just give us a minute. William Friedkin, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's watching this in the first place. But yeah, yeah, solid film. One of my favourite horror films. I've got some, probably one of my favourite films of all time. And said to be said about the next film I'm going to review. So for that, I'm going to give The Exorcist an 8 out of 10. Decent film, can't really complain. Not watched the sequels, but I've heard they're pretty bad. I heard the third one's good, but there's a prequel, I think, which, decent idea, but I've heard it's not really the best film. And yeah, quite a solid film. And yeah, I'm gonna get to the next film, which is The Love Witch, which is a 2016 film. But before I review that, let's watch the trailer. But just in case it gets a copyright claim, I might have to take the trailer off, so there might not be a trailer in the podcast. But either way, let's see what happens. And for now, the plan is I'm going to put a trailer in the video podcast, so enjoy.
After Jerry died, the cops wouldn't stop harassing me. They couldn't prove anything. They actually thought that I killed him. Anyways, San Francisco got to be a really bad trip after you left. And that's when I remembered you had that extra apartment.
Hey. Hi, I'm Trish.
Hi, Trish.
Well, what do men want?
Just a pretty woman to love and to take care of them. Love me. Love me. What I'm really interested in is love. You might say I'm addicted to love. You want to take a girl up there now? You want some?
What is it?
Well, I met this great-looking guy, and I used love magic on him. Then he got really weird on me. All these emotions started flowing out of him. Then he got really sick. What is it, Wayne? What is it, baby? What a pussy. What a baby. Wayne. Witchcraft is just a way of concentrating energy. It can only work with what's already there. I just use sex magic to great love magic. Sometimes it's almost scary how strong the love gets.
And sex magic, of course.
I would do anything for love.
So, The Love Witch, which is a film directed by Anna Biller, which came out in the UK in 2016, and it's starring Samantha Robertson as Elaine, who is our lead character. We've got Jeffrey Vincent Praise as Wayne, Laura Waddell as Trish, and these are our main three casting members. And also I should mention Danny Lennon as Mandy, who I'd say is a fourth main cast member. So yeah, The Love Witch, which is a film I came across last week on Film 4, and I've got to say it surprised me. Really good film. My initial intentions, like when I first watched it, I genuinely thought that I was watching a film that was made during like the 1960s and 70s. Like I genuinely thought this was a 60s/70s film, and I thought I'd give it a little Google, see who's in it and all that, expecting the cast members to be old now, and I spotted that it said 2016 underneath it, and I thought, no, that can't be right. There's something wrong. Then I gave it some thought, and I thought, wait, is this going to be one of these art house type of films, which uses these old-fashioned techniques, like I think I'm not sure, 35mm cameras, old-fashioned cameras, making it all groovy, baby, yeah, which is my shit Austin Powers accent. And I was surprised that it's one of them 2016 art house films, which I've got to say is right up my alley. I quite like when filmmakers do that. Like, I do think it's a very uniquely distinctive mood. Like things like The Lighthouse, which I've mentioned before, Bates, which uses 16mm film, I believe. It gives it this old grainy technique, which I really do like. Like I was watching a video before, I think from the Flick Pick. Shout out to the Flick Pick, great YouTuber. That someone mentioned that when like films from like the older films from like the 80s and 70s, where it's got that more grainy look, gives it a bit of a craftiness to it, I should say, rather than these modern films where it's all glossy and posh. And you mentioned something like a modern day Tim Burton film looks a bit flat. Personally, I never noticed it, but I guess I see where it's coming from. But yeah, these old-fashioned techniques, using the film cameras rather than a digital camera, I think that's what they used, and they made it look exactly like a film that was made around in the 60s and 70s, and which I'm a fan of, by the way. Like, I really do like that type of look. I watched a documentary from Michael Caine that was like based on like 60s Britain. I'm not sure, it's like a name of like the type of scene. Like, yeah, you got like the things like the Britpop scene in the 90s, but in the 60s there was a scene that I can't remember what it's called, so sorry about that. But yeah, I really am a fan of that. Like, it's got the James Bond type of look, like it's the typical Bond girl, which Samantha Robinson, and a bit of Bewitched, which is a classic TV show back then, and a lot of inspiration from that kind of stuff. But I think Annabella tried her best not to make it look like that, I believe, judging on from one of her interviews. But she's such a fan of these classic films, and she thinks modern films are trash, which I kind of agree with her with. And I feel like that, according to her, that's the best. That's the best that she can do. That she can only make these old-fashioned looking films. And judging on her first feature, which is Viva, decent film, not as good as this, I don't think. That's her distinctive style, bringing back that glossy, pulp-looking 60s look, which I am a fan of. I'm a fan of pulp art and all that kind of stuff. Great stuff, like these, like the classic Coca-Cola paintings that you get from, I forgot what the artist is called, but I think it'll come to mind. And the Norman Rockwell paintings, that warm colours, and because the colours are that good and it brings it off like this, I'm going to put these pictures in colour. And yeah, it is such a really good technique, and it's inspired me to use these techniques myself in my own films. Like I'm a fan of when filmmakers do that. It seems to be a bit of a trend with things like The Lighthouse and The Bait and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, a filmmaker going back to the 60s look and the exact same costume designs and the makeup designs and the hair, it looks exactly like it's from the 60s. That's to the point where I genuinely thought I was watching a 60s film, which is groovy, baby, yeah. And another cringeworthy Austin Powers reference to you there. Sorry about that. And solid film, and I like the fact that Annabella put in all the effort, which I believe that she did all the costume designs, stitched it, produced it, directed it. I think she did the makeup designs as well. She did everything, I believe, like almost everything, I think, which applause to her, putting up that full effort. Don't think I'd pull that off at all. And even though she said she was ill at the time, even if I'm ill, I don't think I would have done that at all. So yeah, applause to her. My only problem with this film is there's a lot of symbolism in it that I don't really like. Dark symbolism. It's very witchy, of all that kind of stuff. I'm a Christian, so I don't like that. But as an overall film, as a craft, the technique, I am a fan of the film. I think it is a solid film for that reason. But because of my Christian faith, which probably sound a bit weird and a bit cringy to quite a lot of the audiences, like that threw me off a bit. But I guess it adds to the story, the feminism and all that. It adds to all of that. But I'm going to try my best not to put symbolism in this video, because I don't like it. But yeah, that's my only problem with the film for me. And for that reason, I'm going to give The Love Witch a 9 out of 10, which to a lot of you might be an absolutely stupid reason to take one mark off. But yeah, that's sort of my only problem. And I don't know, I feel like I've got everything that I want to say about The Love Witch. Very solid film. Do love a good dark comedy. I do love these type of films where you use an old-fashioned technique, like something similar has to be said with things like American Psycho, where it felt like an 80s film, but I don't know if that's what the intentionally was going to go for with American Psycho, where they had the music from like New Order, like in the beginning, all that when they're in the nightclub. But yeah, solid film. Instantly fired right up there for me, to the point where it's one of my favourites and might even be my favourite film of all time. Who knows? I just think it's all I want in a film, really. Just perfect. And from the beginning, I thought, even when I thought it was a 60s film, I generally thought, right, this is going to be a fun film. It's going to be entertaining. It ticks all most of the boxes for me, 99%. And yeah, solid film. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel if you want anything film related content, TV show related content, art related content, animation. That's all you're going to get on my channel, and hit that notification bell whenever you want to get notified. So yeah, that's it for me, and goodbye.